think we all start in a place that requires a lot of learning. We make a lot of mistakes, and many of you don't see where us, the ones that are doing the thing that you wish you could do, started. And this is all about training. It's about a training mindset. It's about training mistakes and many things that I see clients make when they first come to me and things that we work through, as well as many mistakes that I made. But most of all, just big, big holdups that stop you from getting where you want to be physique wise, strength wise, feeling confident wise, feeling proud wise, and just feeling like you're not heading in a continually forward direction. It's like up, down, you don't have a clear path forward. And without that clear path forward, it's really hard to keep the motivation. And many of us have even been taught to earn our bodies, to suffer our way to this lean body. Many of us have been brought up in the Jane Fonda and the burn your calories, burn your energy. The more you can do, the better. Breaking ourselves down while now we're expecting ourselves to build. So it's like we're trying to build something with old rules. It's leaving you exhausted and frustrated and then confused because you're putting in all of this work without really seeing the results for it. And I've worked with hundreds of women that have been stuck in the same trap, thinking more is better. And it takes a while to undo that mindset. I get it because I was there. If I didn't feel like I smashed myself into oblivion, if my muscles weren't sore as hell, if I didn't do enough reps or drop sets or enough work on a particular muscle group, my thought was, oh my God, I'm going to lose progress. I'm shortcutting myself. I'm not going to build enough muscle. And that was my mentality back then. We all start in different places, and many of the mindsets kind of revolve around the same. And I've been in many different mindsets, and I'm hoping that some of this can relate to you, because the other side is not only worth it, but it makes you feel like you can do anything. Strong, confident. I thought more was better all the time. Sometimes 2-a-days, pushing my body to the limit. The more I do, the more food I can earn, the more carbs I can eat. But I was always sore, exhausted, and burnt the hell out. It felt like I was getting results, but honestly, well, I thought I was. I really, really thought I was. But when I looked back on it, I was. I really was. Like, honestly, I was. Not joking now. But that's the thing. I was until I wasn't. It just became a maintaining thing until I started to look worse over time. And that's the thing. That's the trap we all fall into. I started off on the right foot before I got caught into this trap, before my body wasn't able to adapt, before it wasn't able to come back better or stronger or more enhanced. And I think this is where a lot of the industry kind of doesn't really help you guys, because they're not meeting you at the place that you're actually thinking in your mind, because it's worked before. Whatever you've been doing, you've seen results from it. So it makes sense to keep continuing on with it. It kind of has this disconnect between you're saying this, but I've experienced this, but now I'm experiencing this. My body doesn't work anymore. What used to work doesn't work anymore. It's like, well, no, sorry, no fucking shit. Of course it doesn't. Everything works until it doesn't. And that is the whole purpose of the industry, keeping you in the cycle of giving them money, buying their programs, subscribing to this, subscribing to that, because everything is going to feel like it works. So you're going to want to keep going back. But until when? Until when? And I'm going to kind of allude to this a couple of times through the podcast, because this is what I want to break down. People don't talk about this part. It doesn't make sense to you. Luckily, I started with a plan based on exercise sports science, because I studied that in uni. And despite all of that, I still fell into this because it's addicting to see progress. This is why there is nothing wrong with you, and I want to meet you where you're at. I had an amazing call with an amazing, amazing lady who thought that my age was a barrier between me and her, because how could it make sense? And that's the thing. It's like, I'm not telling you XYZ. I'm asking you XYZ because your experience is different from mine. It's not as simple as just eating more food, doing the things. If it was that easy, you'd be doing it. there are things that hold us back from, let's just say our psychology has a mind of its own. Anyway, back to it. I was lucky because IG is good enough. IG wasn't big back then. I did 16-week training plans, slightly tweaking rep ranges between the 8 to 12-week mark. Sometimes I did 24-week programs, sometimes tweaking them around the 12-week mark, but everything was pretty much the same. That is how I started. And sometimes I would do a program and then continue that on for a while. Back in the day that those sort of PDF things that you can print out came around, I did get a coach early on as well. And that was a tremendous benefit. Although even with a coach, I still was stubborn young me thinking I knew better, this, that, and the other. And I felt like I can do more. I want to get more gains. So I would add more sets, more drop sets. I'd fuck up my warm-ups, which is going to come through here in the mistakes that people make. I'm going to cover, I don't know how many mistakes there are, but if I can get through them all in this podcast, I will, but I'll probably end up splitting it up in two because I do want to go into extensive detail to see if I can help you in any way. And if you share it with someone who could benefit from this, it would mean the world to me because these things do take quite a while to put together. And I'm really hoping that it starts to paint a new narrative. And the fact that I've started this off with, I hear you. It's worked before. Things have worked before. And one huge part of that I didn't touch on, which is really important to think about, the way that we see ourselves isn't reality, but how we feel creates a massive flow-on effect. So there can be particular things that make us feel really damn good. Maybe it's just simply the fact that we feel in control of everything that we're doing, or that we're finally showing up for ourselves, doing what we said we're going to do. And I know I've touched on this in old podcasts where memories aren't real. The way that we remember things isn't reality. It morphs and shifts over time, and the way that we paint particular feelings and narratives of what happened changes based on our current context. So we might feel like it was the best time of our lives, but that's just what we remember of it. And I had this conversation with one of my clients before, which is what I'm going to bring into this as well, because I feel like it's really important to bring in. And I'm going to take note of it because I know a lot of you can relate, especially if you've not thought of the life that you live now compared to when you started. But as I was saying, Instagram wasn't a thing back then. So I didn't get caught away in fluffy exercises, in changing things up all of the time. I don't even remember glute kickbacks ever being a thing when I started. But then I got lost in it all, thinking more is better. And I saw more results from it, like I mentioned. I wasn't under eating, which helped until I started to later on. But I was eating more because I wanted to build muscle. Obviously, I also gained some weight with this, but muscle and strength was my goal back then. And I did gain quite a lot before I lost quite a lot. And this is the thing, like I felt addicted to the results I was seeing, but I never felt happy within myself. Like I was happy, yes, and it was awesome, yes, but I was still nitpicking my body. I was always feeling like it was never good enough. It just never felt right. It felt like I had to commit to particular goals, otherwise I'll get lazy. It was like contingent on the fact that I had a particular goal to aim towards. I almost forget that it's really emotionally challenging to go from having all of these goals to not having any goals at all. And I feel like that's probably something I need to talk about because I was someone that needed to have goals. Otherwise, I wasn't going to do anything. I needed to commit to a comp prep. Otherwise, I wasn't going to, I was scared that I was going to fall off. If I don't keep myself accountable, I'm going to fall off. I don't want to have that shame. I don't want to make myself seem like, oh, she's weak. She has no discipline. But that's not what you need through this. Why are you doing this? It's to live a longer life, a stronger life, to look better, to feel better. And if you're not going to feel better in the process and if you're suffering your way there, how does that fit into the context of your life? The whole point of this one is to feed into the biggest mistake, and that's thinking that more is better. The harder we grind, the more discipline that we have. It's the first mistake for training. Yeah, it was doing more, eating more. The scale went up. That's fine because I didn't have an issue with that. But then like I mentioned, when I got caught up in that whole comp prep mindset, it was a lot of fish, a lot of greens, a lot of under eating the calories that I got given. I think that was when I got my first coach. And he was a bro coach. Do your faster cardio. So of course I was very good. I wanted to be a good girl. I wanted to be disciplined. Doing the hard stuff was easy for me. Being disciplined was easy for me. Being tightly gripping onto something was easy for me. Moderation was not. Stepping away was not. Resting was not. Hard stuff was easy, but it did not lead to results. And I think a lot of us feel like it's discipline, 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 do more, do more, do more. And then I got trapped, scared to go over a certain scale number. But that's not what this podcast is about. It's about training and the mistakes. But this provides some context as to why we can feel like some things work for us and some things don't. Provide some context into, I didn't get it all right from the start. I made mistakes too, but I was lucky that I did start off on the right foot. I used my newbie days to build a lot of muscle, but I also used those newbie days to lose a lot of muscle because I was stuck dieting, working my ass off in the gym. Nothing was happening, so I added another day while dieting, under eating, not really eating any carbs at all, needing to earn my carbs. It wasn't a really nice place to be at all. I was eating hardly anything, and I just felt like I was getting fatter over time. I do have something from one of my clients. I might put it in somewhere here. The same thing, eating more, way more carbs, and all of a sudden she started leaning out. Her clothes started feeling looser. Because sometimes it's that burnout that leads to us being absolutely resistant to things, getting softer, adding body fat, while eating very little and training very much. Because it's not just about what goes into your mouth sometimes. There's a whole lot more to metabolism because it's just the net sum of how our body can use energy. That's in, that's out, and it uses energy for so many processes. But if a lot of those processes are not working optimally, that's where things start to go haywire.
Just do it.
Yeah, thanks, Sheila. Thanks for the information. It's not that easy. There's information everywhere. I'm overwhelmed and I don't know what's right. I don't know what to do. What if it's not right? What if it's right? What if it is right and my body doesn't respond? That's then where I got to. What if it is right? I knew it was right. Like, because I was studying it and I was a coach, I knew there were many things that were right, but I did not think my body would respond to it. I thought there was something wrong with me, with my body. Obviously, I didn't see my body as it was either. Maybe I fucked up. I'm too old now. I ruined my hormones. I'm not 20 anymore. But this, but that, like, come on. This is why coaching is so, so valuable. It's not that you're incapable. Your body isn't broken or dysfunctional. It's that you are an expert just in your own profession. And you have one set of eyes that are glued to your head. You don't see things from other perspectives. You don't see things from outside the box, and you probably don't even know you're in a box because that's all you know, kind of like the fish swimming in the water. You don't know what's outside of that, and that's okay. You don't know what you don't know, and I didn't either. And you also have a second full-time job, and that's living your life. It's not just your career. You have a life to live with relationships, showing up for it the best that you can, your home life. Outsource your future health, your strength, your longevity to a coach who's the expert in that. Also, unshameable plug, if you want to sign up for coaching, I always have special spaces for podcast listeners. But that was a roundabout way of trying to dig into the meat of how more is not better. It just makes you more burnt out, more frustrated. It doesn't allow you to progress the way you need to progress for the physique changes that you want, because you can adapt, because you can't adapt and get any results from what you can't recover from. And muscle requires you getting stronger at something over time. And if you're not recovering, if your body is still fatigued, if you have high stresses in your life, if you're going through perimenopause, that adds another stress. All of this, you're not building any muscle. Once you turn 30, you start losing muscle if you are not actively trying to gain it. And it only gets worse once you hit 40. Then once you hit 45, it's even worse. So get on it now. Proper fuel will be another one, but that's for another podcast. Just know that that also plays into niggles and joints and being sore and recovery, and all of that impacts how you adapt, how you recover, and how much you can give, and the energy you have outside of training, and the ability to train however many it is. Second mistake, doing too much in one session. That only scratches the surface, but we can go a little bit deeper into that one, like bro splits. That completely sabotage you. It works at first, but arm days, shoulder and ab days, back days, chest days, quad days, glute days, blah, blah, blah. Like, no, you need to hit things at least 2 to 3 times a week to progress, especially after the age of 30, because muscle protein synthesis reduces after that 48 to 72 hour period. So hitting things 2 to 3 times a week is where we want to be, which means full body sessions or upper lower splits. I put most of my girls on upper lower splits. Sometimes the more advanced they get, I prefer putting them onto full body because it is very taxing to do really heavy friggin' legs in a whole session. Can you do it? Yes. Does it reduce its impact if you can't give the same amount to exercise 4 or exercise 5? Not really, because that's where we just need to adjust our expectations, because giving the same 500% to a single leg press or a hyperextension or whatever is at the end of your training day that you did your deadlifts at the start of your day, it's not possible to give it the same 500%. Not absolutely. But you can still give it your relative same 500%. It just comes down to adjusting expectations. And it doesn't mean less results either, because you've already got your body to a place where now it's actually going to use more muscle fibers because the others have already been fatigued. So now you're stimulating the other ones. It's just you don't want more and more and more, because then how are you going to recover? That's going to eat into your other sessions. You only need to do as much as is necessary for you and your particular progress, which is different for everyone. This is where that less is better comes in as well, but in a different scenario. This isn't for the whole program and the whole thing in general, it's for the whole session. And that's why the biggest mistake here is not understanding how all of this works and using old numbers, almost said old measures, old numbers to measure up against. Like what you lifted for your dumbbell shoulder press in your last program compared to this program. In last program, it was exercise 1, this program is exercise 5. Like that's not fair. And then there's loading parameters with sets and reps, or if there's tempo. That will stop you doing things the way you need to do them because you think that you need to hit the old numbers. If you use less weight or do less on it, does that mean you lost strength and progress? No. And that's the huge thing that I was touching on before. You're still sending a stimulus. You're still sending the right stimulus to the muscles. That is the stimulus you want to hit with those muscles. All that matters is that you're having quality sets, quality nutrition, and good enough lifestyle factors to facilitate all of this, to facilitate you being able to push your best, which won't happen if you have those million sets and million reps and a million exercises and you're doing glute day every single day of the week. The goal is mechanical tension, which just means proper execution, proper form, and then taking that until your form fails. Done. Rest. On to the next set. Relative, not absolute efforts here. The third mistake is never doing anything in the 4 to 8 rep range and never working to that heavier rep range. And this isn't just to say train in the 4 to 8 rep range, because most of you cannot do it effectively. And that's why typically I will start my clients out in the 8 to 15 rep range and then get them really, really good at 8 reps, like really good at 8 reps, where they are pretty much failing that 8th rep. And then they fail their 7th. Getting them neurologically adapted to that, because you might fail you might be able to do, for example, 60 kilos on your deadlift for 15 reps, 60 kilos. But as soon as I'd get you to do 5 reps or 4 reps, you can only do 70. From 15 reps to 5 reps, and you can only do 10 kilos more. Maybe even 65 is all you can do. Like it takes a different level of mind neural to muscle, which is called neuromuscular activation potential. And that's built, that's a skill. And you work your way there. And that's probably the best thing you can do, because it's that type of training in the 4 to 8 rep range that builds strength and builds a muscle that lasts, because that Like that is true hypertrophy. That is true muscle building. But it's also not just that. Like you do need the higher rep ranges as well. It's the whole, like it's where it all fits in. Some people are fine in the 10 to 12 rep range. I have a lot of clients that do a lot of work between 8 to 15. It's just that they also have work in the 4 to 8 rep range. It's kind of like power building. You have the big moves in the 4 to 8 rep range, and then the other moves are in the 8 to 15 rep range. And that's what I love when I'm programming my girls, because once they can get that 7, 8th rep and it looks like they're truly hitting in those muscle fibers, to me, that is unlocking level 2 and level 3 of training. And I can start programming them way more specifically to that strength potential with more specific progressions on that strength potential. Like my lifts are basically always the same, but my bigger moves, they change rep ranges, sometimes sets every 6 weeks. And if there are weaknesses that my coach notices, they get adjusted in and out depending on it, wherever is needed. For example, one of my exercises that I've been doing for the last however many weeks, I don't know, I don't count weeks with him, got changed to a cable row. It was something with dumbbells, or was it a machine before? Because I have both. And that is what progress is. That's what actual progress is, not just random programs every month. And that's what we need to stop believing. Because once you are on the path to progress with real progressive training, you will see how much it changes your body. And that is just the start. And the hardest part is the part before that, because it's like you're doing all of this hard work, putting in the effort, putting in the focus, the time, and you're not really seeing it pay off. That is the hardest part, where you're putting in the work without the reward physically, because you're not going to see it physically for quite a while, because muscle growth is so freaking slow. And that's why so many people gravitate to fat loss, because that is so fast. But you're just going to be holding off all the potential that you have if you cannot sit in that delayed gratification. And I think a lot of people are scared to do that, because in their minds, their body can't lose fat. They don't believe they can. So they don't trust themselves to go in this direction for long enough, because in the past they failed. But you are going to continue failing if you don't shift that mindset in this process, because if your mind is still on dieting, then all of this stuff is going to be short-lived. I'm going to pick on some usual form myths for the fourth mistake, because I think the knee over toes thing is debunked, but you should be pushing them over. Like it's really important to push them over. There's the form myths on only doing 90 degrees on a leg press, or on split squats or squats or whatever else it is for maximum glute recruitment. It's like, no, that isn't maximum glute recruitment. Maximum glute recruitment is getting your knees over your toes and your butt all the way down. You can minimize the quads by doing that, but you're also minimizing the glutes. And not only that, a lot of you want that hourglass looking physique. You want shape. You're not going to get shape without working on your quads. And many of you want to have striations in your legs or definition in your legs. You're not going to get that without training your quads either. So that's just something to get out there. And then there's the lat pull downs, thinking that wider is more lats, but it's not. That's more upper back for lats. You want to have like neutral shoulder width grip. I have a lot to say on back exercises, because a lot of people don't use their shoulder blades properly, which is what I'm hoping to put out more into my content. And then leg press or any of those machines, you need to pull yourself in with the handles, not holding your boobs on the leg press or hands wherever else you want to put them. Hold on to the handles. I've had some people say that they can't reach the handles. Get figure 8 straps and try to pull yourself in with the figure 8 straps. Better than nothing, but I don't really know. Just try to grab somewhere on the machine. I wouldn't know unless I saw your machine. The 5th mistake is stretching, warm-ups, and cardio. Doing these before your workouts. Cardio is not a warm-up. Do not do cardio as a warm-up. And stretching is, unless your coach gives you something specific, do not stretch before you work out. It's a terrible thing to do. It can lead to injury if you do it wrong. So it needs to be specific. Stretching is different from mobility drills. Mobility drills are fine. But once again, make sure it's specific to what you need to do, not just random. Things that I like are mobility drills and core work. Like, for example, I do couch stretches. Or I just said don't do stretches. But I would never do couch stretches before anything squat related. But I do them before my RDLs and before my deadlifts because it helps open up my hips. And that's also why I like 1990 hip switches, which is a mobility drill. And I like dead bugs, which is a core, like a core engagement thing that works with your lats because you also need to control where your arms are moving. And it also controls you in a dynamic movement while your arms are moving upwards and your legs are moving downwards, kind of like a squat and kind of like a deadlift. So it helps with that. The sixth mistake is rest periods. I was amazing at this. The bad stuff, the drop setting, the supersetting the wrong things, because yes, there is a right and wrong way to superset, depending on where you are in your programming. But rest. Compound lifts, at least 90 seconds. I give leg presses and deadlifts and squats at least 3 minutes, even Romanian deadlifts. And rest between legs. Between arms, that depends. I do it for rows because my rows are pretty damn heavy, but for my lat pull down single arms, I just go straight between them both. My rows, my heart rate's jacked the hell up. So seventh mistake, changing programs every month, kind of like what I was talking about before. If you think that as soon as you stop progressing on a lift or things start to slide backwards, that it's not working anymore or something's wrong, so then you change it, that is where you're stopping progress. Because progress is when things are not moving forwards, funnily enough, because that's when you're forcing change. If you're just seeing the numbers go up, that is the newbie gains of gaining the strength there, gaining the skill there. Like my first 2 weeks of anything, sometimes my first 3-4 weeks, weights are going up pretty damn well. And then it's just fighting for it and keeping the same thing. I have a post on that coming up soon. But if your program is sound and your effort and intent are there, if you are just fighting to keep what is on your logbook, that is the start of true progress. The rest was, like I mentioned, just your strength potential showing itself for new lifts. That's why a lot of people love new programs, because they can see progress right away, but you're not really progressing. You're just keeping your body getting results. So that's something to keep in mind there. And I will probably also add in here that the reason I mentioned provided your program is sound is because it's very easy to stay plateaued and not really see any strength progress. Like I mentioned, if there is a lot whacked into one day, or even if you have a lot of sets for a particular exercise, like your body is going to get free and fatigued. If you're doing bro splits, it's probably going to be the same thing if you have a lot of exercises for the same thing. Like the goal isn't to overwhelm yourself with volume. It's to make more out of less, to make that effective. Now, the eighth mistake, the all or nothing mentality, skipping the gym if you can't do a full session, which stops you being consistent. And that, like this to me, is a mistake because you feel like you lost strength. So now you stay stuck in shame, you feel behind, your confidence takes a hit because you can't do it. But there is muscle memory, provided you give your body the ability to build muscle memory, which takes getting consistent and getting strong. But if you keep starting fresh Monday every time you miss one workout, you're not allowing yourself to progress. Consistency doesn't mean getting in a whole workout or perfect weeks. If you can only get in half a workout, that's better than nothing. This is kind of why I don't believe in deload weeks, because a lot of people already fight to get that consistency they need, and that's fine. That's why I'm bringing this one in, because it's not about being perfect. You can still progress in that way. It's just do the best that you can. And if something keeps getting in your way, figure that out so you can at least get some exercises on the board, get some workouts on the board. Get 3 half sessions in if you can't get 3 full sessions in. That's the best place to start. The next mistake is comparing to influencers. And you don't even know how long they've been lifting for, because what they're doing now isn't what got them the body they have now. If you see someone like me make incredible progress in my deadlift in a short period of time, you probably didn't know that I used to compete competitively in deadlifts. That's why I can build it up to where I have now. It's not just I just started deadlifting and all of a sudden, voila. Most of the women you're comparing to have been lifting consistently for at least some few years, because no one likes posting their failures in their startups. So keep that in mind. A huge one, another one, is avoiding what you're not good at or what you use little weights for, because you want to look strong and you don't want to use baby weights, or you don't want to look like a beginner and fail and look weird doing something. A lot of women avoid chest movements, and they're so important. If you don't do upper body to the intensity that you should be doing it, you're going to limit your lower body because your upper body needs to support your lower body. If you don't have a strong back, you're going to struggle with most lower body stuff without getting niggles and pains and injuries. Same with chest, because it needs to kind of balance itself out. If you're not working your upper body properly, you're going to have posture issues as well, especially as you age. And don't skip your single leg work. That is so important, especially if you have back issues or you can't get your glutes to work, quote unquote work. They're always working. But a lot of the time it's missing out on the single leg work that plateaus a lot of leg exercises because you have an imbalance with your legs. You can't even get your balance right. Your glute medius, the upper glute, is what helps with lunges. It's what helps with split squats. I would always prefer the single leg movements to fluffy upper glute stuff to start with, especially because it's something you can load quite a lot. And your glutes will be in huge demand if you yet can't balance. And if you can't balance, then that will be another training mistake, because I've seen client coaches try to get their clients to balance and things. I'm like, not coaches, like trainers in the gym. It's like, why are you trying to get her to balance in a split squat? Just give her a freaking thing to hold on to. If you can't balance yet, use something to hold on to. Work to improve your balance. So that's something there. And I've already talked about random workouts and changing your programs all the time, but just in general, choosing novelty with random workouts without a plan, without understanding what actually builds muscle, because it's not just smashing your muscles into oblivion that does it and being sore, because that doesn't grow muscle. It's having structure. The biggest one here regarding this is stop overthinking equipment and perfect routines. If there's something that's busy, this is where we need to adapt. Something that's similar. And it goes back to that all or nothing mentality. The goal is to do the best that you can for that session, because there is no perfect time or perfect way of doing things if it can't be done consistently in an adaptive way. If you can't adapt when life goes pear-shaped, then that's something to keep in mind. And I would probably end this on not getting expert support because of everything that I said above. Not only does it reduce decision fatigue, but it's there objectively, because a lot of our issues stem from not seeing what we don't see, or jumping from one thing to another, or not giving our very best, or not staying accountable to something, or not realizing what is holding us back. Film yourself, get feedback, have proper progressions in place. I'm a coach myself. I've always had a coach. I feel I do not like not having a coach. I like someone doing it for me. And a lot of people feel like that if they need help, or if they admit that they're struggling with something, that they're just coming up with excuses, that something is wrong with them, that they should be able to do it already. You've been lifting for years, you should be able to do it. You've been focusing on XYZ for years, you should be able to have your shit together. You failed because you need to ask for help. It's like, no, the best people ask for help. The people that fail are the ones that continue to try things the same way that they know doesn't work. So keep that one in mind. So you stop second guessing yourself. If you're spending more time second guessing yourself than seeing results, it's not that you don't have what it takes. It's just that you don't have someone in your corner who gives a shit about your progress like you do. Listen to that part again. It's not about that you don't have what it takes, or that your body doesn't work a particular way. Having someone in your corner who gives a shit about your progress, who cares, that is what gets results. I want to end this off with, you don't need to earn your rest days. You need to use them effectively. That's why I like to call them recovery days. Use your rest days to make your working days more effective, and use them to plan your nutrition as well, because that is important to support your training. It's not about training hard, but training smart. Smart training is always hard, but hard training isn't always smart. It's not about being sore and feeling stuck. It's about being strong and feeling things change, because things can change and we can see, and someone else can see them change, but we won't see them if we don't do the work that allows us to have some self-compassion along the way as well. Like, you can be making amazing progress and still not see it. So that's why there is so much more to this than just follow a plan. Like, if that worked, we wouldn't have an industry this ripe with bullshit. Being sore, this is the third takeaway. Being sore, tired, fatigued, and well smoked. Actually like this one. Beef jerky. I love beef jerky. But being sore, tired, fatigued, and well smoked like beef jerky doesn't have a progress report. We want to get better, we want to get stronger, and we want to get fitter. None of those are in the job description: the tired, the fatigued, and the well smoked. I was trying to find something that I can say is well smoked, and beef jerky came up. So I'm rolling with it. And some questions for you. Where could you get support, or where could you drop some perfectionist need to get it right mentality so you can start to build some momentum? Second question. What myths do you believe after listening to this podcast? What do you feel is slowing you down? Third question. Do you know how to use the progress cards? Do you know what to put on your progress cards? And what would shift in your progress if you finally changed your process? Something one of my girls came to me saying is she wasn't sleeping through the day anymore. She wasn't having energy slumps. She had more mental capacity. She started to improve her relationships because she had more energy to go out with friends. She started knitting again. She has less stress around food. She's finally eating carbs and loving it. So some takeaways for you. Cut your workouts to 3 to 4 sessions. Start each one with heavy low rep lifts, below 10 reps. Try to work your way to 8 or 6. Drop your volume, focus on intensity, focus on form, film your lifts, rest more between your sets. If you don't have a coach, I hope these action steps helped. And if there's anything else that you need from me, if there's anything else just anything, reach out to me on Instagram. I will respond to every single one of you because you podcasting crew you hold a special place in my heart. And if there's anything else you want me to talk about, let me know. And I hope you try out some of these. Let me know, and I'll talk to you on the next podcast.